Tommy Egan walks into this moment believing he has already beaten the worst of it. After everything he has faced in Power Book 4, Force, he feels like he understands Chicago now. He knows who wants him dead, who wants his spot, and who is too scared to move against him. That belief gives him peace, but it also makes him careless in small ways. Tommy has always trusted his gut more than plans, and most of the time, that instinct saves his life. But in episode 10, his gut tells him there is nothing urgent to worry about. No loud threats, no open war, no reason to panic. And that false calm becomes the opening. Tommy's past victories play a big role here. Every time he survives a trap, his confidence grows stronger. He starts believing that if danger is real, he will feel it instantly. That mindset worked in New York. It worked when enemies came directly at him. But Chicago is different. The streets are quieter, and power moves slower. Tommy doesn't fully adjust to that change. He assumes silence means fear. He assumes waiting means weakness. But the truth is, waiting can mean planning. There is also an emotional side to this mistake. Tommy is tired. He doesn't say it out loud, but the weight of running everything alone is catching up to him. When things finally seem stable, he allows himself to breathe. That breath is dangerous. It makes him lower his guard just enough for someone else to step closer. Not with a gun, not with anger, but with patience. The most dangerous thing about this threat is that it does not feel like one. There is no sudden shift in tone, no clear sign that something is wrong. The people around Tommy act normal. Conversations stay calm. Business keeps moving. That normal feeling is exactly what makes this threat powerful. It blends into Tommy's routine, becoming part of the background noise he no longer questions. Tommy has always been focused on enemies who want control or money. That is what he prepares for. But this threat is built on something else. It feeds on access, on closeness, on knowing how Tommy thinks and when he stops paying attention. That kind of danger does not rush. It waits for Tommy to make his own mistake. It waits for him to believe everything is handled. What makes this even worse is that the threat benefits from Tommy being strong. As long as Tommy looks untouchable, no one suspects that someone is already positioning themselves. Strength becomes camouflage. Power becomes a distraction. Everyone watches Tommy's big moves while missing the quiet shift happening behind him. And Tommy misses it too, because he is watching the same things. This is where episode 10 plays its smartest trick. It doesn't rush the reveal. It lets the audience sit in the same false calm as Tommy. That shared calm makes the impact hit harder later, because by the time the truth starts to show, it feels too late to stop it. Tommy Egan is not blind. He is experienced. But experience can also lock a person into old habits. Tommy has seen betrayal before, and because of that, he expects it to look a certain way. He looks for tension, lies, and strange behavior. When those signs do not appear, he moves on. That is his mistake. The warning signs are there, but they are too subtle for the version of danger Tommy expects. Another problem is trust. Tommy does not trust easily, but once he does, he trusts deeply. When someone earns that place near him, he stops questioning every move they make. Episode 10 shows how dangerous that kind of trust can be. The threat doesn't need to lie much. It just needs to stay consistent, calm, predictable, safe. Tommy reads that as loyalty instead of strategy. There is also pride involved. Tommy believes he has earned this moment of control. He feels like he has finally put himself in a position where he can see problems before they explode. That belief makes him dismiss small concerns. He tells himself that if something was wrong, he would already know. That confidence closes his mind to possibilities he should be questioning. By the time Tommy starts feeling that something is off, the situation is already moving without him. The threat has done its job, not by force, but by patience. When the threat finally shows its hand, it doesn't come with chaos. It comes with clarity. Tommy realizes that control has slipped away, not in a dramatic moment, but through a series of quiet choices he didn't question. That realization hits harder than a gunshot because there is no one else to blame. He wasn't overpowered. He wasn't surprised by violence. He was outplayed. This moment forces Tommy to face a hard truth. His instincts did not fail him. His confidence did. He trusted the calm instead of challenging it. And now, the consequences are set in motion. Even if Tommy survives what comes next, the damage is already done. Something has shifted in how power moves around him. Episode 10 uses this moment to change Tommy from the inside. He doesn't just lose ground. He loses certainty. From this point on, every alliance feels less safe. Every quiet moment feels suspicious. The unseen threat may not destroy him physically, but it leaves a mark that won't fade easily. That is why this threat is so dangerous. It doesn't end with one episode. It follows Tommy forward, changing how he thinks, how he trusts, and how he survives. And the scariest part is knowing that it all started when everything seemed fine. In Power Book 4, Season 3, Episode 10, the real danger does not announce itself. It does not raise its voice or show anger. It moves quietly, almost politely, and that is what makes it powerful. Tommy is used to pressure. He understands fear, violence, and direct challenges. What he is not ready for is a threat that feels normal. Everything around him seems steady. Business continues. People talk the same way they always have. Nothing looks broken, so Tommy assumes nothing needs fixing. This threat understands Tommy better than he realizes. It knows he is always watching for sudden moves, not slow ones. It knows he expects enemies to rush him, not circle him. So instead of pushing, it waits. It stays close enough to see how Tommy thinks and far enough to avoid suspicion. Every calm moment becomes part of the plan. Every quiet day gives this threat more time to settle into its position. What makes this even more dangerous is that the threat does not want to defeat Tommy in a straight fight. It wants him comfortable. It wants him believing that the worst is already behind him. The moment Tommy starts thinking things are under control is the moment he becomes vulnerable. He stops checking certain doors. He stops questioning certain faces. He starts assuming loyalty instead of testing it. That is the opening. The show carefully builds this tension without drawing attention to it. Small interactions feel harmless. Conversations feel routine. Nothing screams danger. But that is exactly the point. The threat survives by being invisible. It does not need to rush because Tommy is doing half the work for it by relaxing. Power does not always come from force. Sometimes it comes from patience and timing. As episode 10 moves forward, it becomes clear that this threat has already planned several steps ahead. It is not reacting to Tommy's moves. It is anticipating them. That is something Tommy rarely faces. He is used to being the one in control, the one pushing others into mistakes. Now, that role has quietly shifted, and because the shift happens slowly, Tommy does not feel it until the balance is already off. The most unsettling part is that this threat does not look proud or confident. It looks calm. It blends into the background. It lets Tommy shine while it prepares the ground beneath him to collapse. By the time Tommy senses that something is wrong, the situation has already changed. The power he thought he held is no longer fully his, and the danger he ignored is now close enough to hurt him without warning. This is why this threat works so well. It does not need fear to control Tommy. It uses trust, routine, and silence. It allows Tommy to believe he is safe while quietly removing his ability to respond. And when the truth finally becomes clearer, Tommy will realize that the most dangerous enemy is the one who never needed to fight him at. All. In Power Book 4, Season 3, Episode 10, Tommy Egan is not careless, but he is distracted by his own success. For the first time in a long while, he feels like he is finally standing on solid ground. The chaos has slowed down. The loud enemies are either gone or quiet. From Tommy's point of view, this feels earned. He has fought hard for this position, and that belief shapes how he reads everything around him. When danger slows down, he assumes it is fading away. He does not consider that it may simply be changing form. Tommy has always relied on patterns. He knows how enemies behave when they are ready to strike. They get nervous. They rush decisions. They make mistakes. In episode 10, none of that is happening. People stay calm. Moves feel planned. Conversations stay clean. To Tommy, that looks like control. But in reality, it is something else entirely. The threat is not acting emotional because it does not need to. It already has what it wants: time and access. Another reason Tommy misses the signs is exhaustion. He carries everything himself. Every choice, every risk, every consequence lands on him. That weight does not break him, but it dulls his edge. When you are tired, you stop asking extra questions. You stop digging deeper once an answer feels good enough. Tommy begins accepting things at face value, not because he is weak, but because he wants peace, even if he will never admit that out loud.